Welcome to Pathetic, the podcast, where we're going to have another fun show for you tonight. We've got some really good topics. I think this is going to be a real good one. These topics are like exactly what this show was put together for. Mikey, what do you say about that?
I'm all kinds of jacked up today. We're going to get into it in a minute, but what a last couple of days here for New York sports fans. Firing on all cylinders, all kinds of jacked up. Jeff, how are we doing?
Man, after the last couple of Knicks games we watched, it feels like the 90s again. You know, the Garden's going to be rocking this Saturday. I can't wait for Game 3, and it's going to be exciting. It's like I said, you know, the 90s all over again.
Guys, before
watch out for the OJ chase.
Oh, yeah. ONJ. Before we get into it, if you're watching us on YouTube, it would be great if you can hit subscribe and you can like us. If you're listening on any of the platforms that you normally listen to your podcasts on, same thing, like and subscribe. The more likes and the more subscriptions we get, the more times our show will come up in your feed. So that's important. We want to make sure we get out to everybody, and we do appreciate that. They'll be up in the corner, Link.Tr.ee. It'll have the links to all our email, Patheticthepodcast at gmail.com, our Facebook, our Instagram, our I think we have an X account. Yeah, we have an X account. I think the only one we don't have is like what is that?
TikTok?
TikTok. Yeah, we don't have a TikTok.
No.
Outright refuse.
Or as Bill,
Nope.
what does Bill Belichick call it? Instaface?
Instaface.
Instaface.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mike, why don't we get started? What we almost did the show before the Knick game last night, and we had some technical problems, so we bailed it, and we were able to get the second Knick game in. Mike, it's amazing. Give me I saw your reaction when it ended, and me and Jeff were just like laughing our butts off. It was great. What was going on for you?
It just warms my heart to see those cocky, arrogant Celtics fans have to eat crow. After the first game, they were already saying, well, they may not actually go in and win anything else. But then to do it 2 games in a row where you just took it from them. They did not do anything at the end of that game to make it look like they were trying to compete, because you go 6 minutes without scoring, you have 13 straight possessions where you miss a shot, and you have the one basket you made was that one by Tatum going straight down the middle, dunking it. But you just saw how clutch Jalen Brunson is. I mean, the guy just has ice in his veins. He's built for this city. There are guys who can play in New York, and there are guys who can't. And Jalen Brunson can play here. And I'm sure we're going to get to a couple of guys who can't if we talk about some of the other teams around here. But you see that guy. He loves playing in those spots. He loves to have the ball in his hands. And even if he doesn't make the shot, he's going into contact to try to get a foul, make those foul shots at the end of the game, because that's the difference. If Tatum goes into contact there and somebody fouls him, he's probably making those 2 free throws, and it's a totally different game. But instead, he goes in and tries to do all this other stuff and get fancy and fade away like he always does. And you saw what happened. You saw Bridges come out and play. I think we, on our original one, we said he was going to wear 2 of the 5 first-round picks we gave the Nets. I think we're up to 3 now. So just unbelievable. Madison Square Garden is going to be insane Saturday afternoon. I'm going to be in Queens at my nephew's birthday party, but man, if I could have been there for that after that game. It's the best. Jeff, what do you think here?
Listen, even if you're halfway a Knicks fan and you kind of watching the playoffs or just dabble in and out, you have to be excited. And it's really amazing. The Celtics, who I think they're the number 2 seed right behind Cleveland, you know, considered one of the juggernauts in the league, twice in a row, not just giving up 20-point leads in the third quarter, but also losing almost in an identical fashion. Like, it's not overly surprising that the Knicks won. The Knicks are a tough, gritty team. When the guys are firing on all cylinders, they have talent. They can win games. They can win a championship. But for the Celtics, to just blow it twice was really, really shocking to me. And Mike, you mentioned Jalen Brunson being fit for New York, and I couldn't agree more. And it's interesting you said that because I saw today that when Jalen Brunson got picked up by the Knicks, his dad made him watch the documentary on Derek Jeter because he wanted him to learn not necessarily how to play, different sport, right? But learn how to adjust with the New York market, right? Adjust with the New York media. Because, Uncle Ted, I'm going to steal one of your phrases. It's a different animal here, right? And he wants the ball, as you said, Mike. He's a perfect fit for this city, the way he conducts himself, easy guy to root for, and just really a perfect fit. And again, just watching the Celtics blow it twice, it was really, really a shock. But I'll tell you, this is a must-win coming up for the Celtics, Game 3. And, you know, the Knicks got to win too because you don't want them, or the Celtics getting momentum again. But here we go. Like I said in the opening, back to the 90s.
25 out of 100 threes in the two games for the Celtics. They shot 25% in both games. 10 for 40 in the second game and 15 to 60 in the first game, which is just crazy.
That's less than like prison basketball,
right?
Honestly.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Couple of things. I never thought I would hear myself say this, but this Knicks team is a very likable team.
Yeah,
they really are, and I have been a staunch, as Evan Roberts says, I'm part of the coalition hating the Knicks. Hate the Knicks. I'm rooting for them, and I'll tell you one thing. We were talking about it yesterday, thinking that with the Celtics just taking those threes, it's a disrespect for the Knicks. You know what? I thought about it last night. I just think they don't know another way to play. And honestly, am I wrong when I say that when they were coming down the stretch, when the Celtics were on offense, they looked scared? And they only knew how to throw the ball up from three-point range and not go inside and not challenge Karl Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges and Obi, whatever his name is. But to me, this Jalen Brunson is they're going to put a statue up for this guy.
Yeah.
And you know what? I understand there's no statue for Willis Reed or for Walt Clyde Frazier, who to me was the greatest New York Knick that ever lived. But this guy wins a championship. I'm sorry. There's got to be something because he's taken a franchise that was just moribund for years. And they tried everything. Let's get the superstars. Let's do the draft and let's do this. Let's do that. And they got this guy. I'll tell you, it's a great week for Villanova between the players. And now we have a Pope from Villanova. So Villanova is really getting a lot of airtime. But I got to tell you, I do not think the Knicks will lose on Saturday. I think that when they come out, the one thing they're going to have to be careful about is I think that crowd's going to be so amped up that it could turn your legs to jelly.
Kind of like an adrenaline dump early on.
Right. Yeah. But I'll tell you, I never thought I'd say this. And Mikey knows me good. Mikey knows me real good.
Well, listen, it makes it easy because, first of all, Boston is a hateable city.
Absolutely.
Not the city, not the, whatever. You know what I mean?
Well,
the fans.
No, it's the fans. It's the fans.
The fans, the teams, the coaches, the Belichicks, the Larry Birds, who I can't stand. Just like people across.
Larry Bird was.
I don't like him. I know people like him.
So
I'm in the minority. I'm not a fan, but it's just they're not likable, right? So even if you hate the Knicks, it's easy to root for them because, again, it's Boston. You got a bunch of Patriot fans who hate the Patriots all of a sudden now, right?
Yeah.
And, the Knicks, like you said, Uncle Ted, I mean, they got some guys on there that they're hard to dislike. They're not punks.
Right.
They don't talk crap. They just go out there and conduct their business. So, yeah, I agree.
Did you see what happened last night? Mikey, I don't know, and I hate to cut you off. I'm sorry. The game ended and the Knicks fans wouldn't leave that one section. And the security, no, I don't even know if she was part of security. She was an employee of the Celtics. And she called security to try to have a guy thrown out saying that he pushed her into the chairs. When if you look at the video, she was so panicked, she fell into the chairs.
Right.
Lawsuit.
Do me a favor. Do me a favor up in Boston. give your balls a tug, okay?
Yeah.
Because you're in big trouble right now. And I'll tell you this, I'm not a big Thibodeau fan, but to me, they win this series. I don't care what happens after that. He does not lose his job. But I'll tell you this, Knicks win this series, and that coach of Boston loses his job because there has not been an adjustment made to what the Knicks are doing.
Yep.
You know, he's kind of like Richie Kotite. When Richie Kotite would go in at halftime of the Jet game and he would say, guys, let's just keep doing the same thing. And then all of a sudden they get, you know, whoever they're coaching against, a kid could see it and they change up. So, yeah, I'm
not going to sit here and say that the series is over by any stretch, because the one thing I will say is Boston is incredibly good on the road all year long. I think they only lost 8 games on the road all year. Yeah. So to sit there and say that this is over, even if the Knicks win the next game, I still don't think it's over, because you saw them last year take Miami to being or 2 years ago when they were down 3-0. They took Miami to a game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
So this team knows how to do that. So, and there really is the same cast of characters for the last 2 years that have been there. So this team knows what they're doing. They're not going to panic. They're going to go in there into a crazy environment. They're going to feed off of that as well, because that's the one thing I think that the Knicks have had trouble with in their home games at the Garden in the playoffs so far this year, is that the other team is feeding off that energy as well. Madison Square Garden for playoffs is a different animal than any other place out there. I don't care what you say about Boston. Maybe you throw in like the United Center in the 90s when the Bulls were there, but that's probably the only 2 places where there's a distinct energy and juice in the arena every single time someone plays there. And the other team gets up for that as well. So don't get too cocky, Knicks fans. I was excited last night. I don't want to go too nuts right now because, as Kobe Bryant says, the job's not finished. We're only halfway done. You got to win 2 more games. You're probably going to have to go back to Boston and win at least 1 more. So we'll see how that goes. But, yeah, I mean, I'm excited for how everything went in the first 2. You couldn't have asked for a better 2 games if you ask me. But,
you know, important ways they won too, fighting back. They didn't just dominate. They weren't even that great, the Knicks.
No.
Like if you watch them and you look at their numbers, like those are 2 games where the Knicks 100% should have lost those games. But Mike, you're spot on. Like you can't get too cocky right now because the Celtics can very easily win 2 games in a row.
Yeah.
Maybe not easily, but they can absolutely. It wouldn't shock me if they get 2 in a row here. Then all of a sudden now it's a wash. Right now it's 0-0 again with less games to go. So I don't want to say it's a must win for the Knicks. Obviously it's not, but to steal game 3 and go up 3-0, now you got the Celtics with their backs against the wall.
You know, the thing about the Knicks, though, I'll say, is that whatever happens on Saturday during the course of the game, I think that the Knicks to themselves have proven that whatever it is, it is. You know, last year there were times where the Knicks kind of said to themselves, oh, man, what are we doing here? They're not like that now. They're not like that. And you know, you see the end of the game, everybody's flipping out, and Brunson's got that steel look on his face. Yeah. And he knows, like Mike said, the job's not over. And again, I don't know who this is talking, because you know how much I despise them. But I got to tell you, they have really they've won me over these past 4 or 5 days, and I'm really surprised, and I think it's great for New York. I think it's so great for New York.
Yep.
So great. Now, you would never hear me talk about the New York Rangers that way. That, I don't care. If I had a relative on the Rangers, if my brother was on the Rangers, I would hate the Rangers. That's never changing. Ever changes.
I can speak from experience. That is 100% true.
100%. Them and the Dolphins, too. But that's... I'm looking forward to Saturday also. The great part is we're watching our grandkids. They're going to be over here. So I'm going to have to be battling. Either I'm watching the Knicks or I'm watching Miss Rachel. So I'm not sure what's going to be going on. We also had a great past weekend where one of the biggest sports spectacles happened. Now, I know Jeff isn't as big a thoroughbred guy as Mike and I are, but Mike, the Kentucky Derby, and when we get into that, what are your thoughts on what went on there? I thought it was a great day.
Yeah, I mean the slop definitely changed things around for a lot of the horses. I think I don't know if you could have caught um, Sovereignty, but I think there's certainly some other horses that the horse that I picked ended up finishing I think 6th or 7th because he just got caught in the slop and
Yeah.
wasn't used to it and tried to make a charge at the end. I saw him coming up, and then he just kind of faded it to the back towards the end. But
Yeah.
I did listen to Mike Francesa. He was all in on Sovereignty, so I did put a couple of shekels on him to make up some of the losses from all the Tistastic bets. But the one thing I will say as well, one of the horses I did choose, I think is still racing. I think Admire Daytona is still up. Yep. No, there he goes. He crisscrossed the finish line. So hopefully you didn't ride me too hard with those, but great day.
Yeah.
Lots of mint juleps. The rain obviously is not ideal, but I still think the horse that was supposed to win ended up winning the race.
So the horse you picked, his mother wasn't a mutter, is what you're saying.
Correct.
Wait, when Mike said Sovereignty, did he go like this? He's a window thrower.
Yeah.
He stinks.
Listen,
Yeah.
Sovereignty. When Sovereignty's sovereignty, he's Cornwallis. He's
Yeah.
Well, my pick was Sandman, and Sandman was right with Tistastic, where they were both kind of making a move at the same time, and I thought they both ran a good race. It was like Mike, you said it right on. You're spot on with the slop, and I was mentioning to you guys that those jockeys wear 7-8 pairs of goggles, and if they get in the front, it's much more comfortable for them. Think of how much more comfortable it is for the horses who don't wear goggles and they
Right.
don't have all that crap being kicked up in their faces.
Yeah, right.
So so that that's big to kind of get towards the lead and not get pushed around like that. But that was a great day. I look forward to it. I'm looking forward to the Preakness, and Sovereignty is not running in the Preakness.
Yeah, I don't agree with that whatsoever.
I do, Mike, and I'll tell you why. Because first of all, the two of us, we have different views on horse racing. We've said this before, Jeff. Mike and I can go to the track, and I go there to just watch the horses, and I'll pick certain horses. Sometimes I won't bet. I just love seeing them. Mike loves the gambling part of it. So Mike and I get it. I want to see a Triple Crown winner too, but 2 weeks. Somebody was talking to me one time. I think he was an assistant trainer at the Meadowlands. Where I was talking to him, and he said these thoroughbreds, they should probably only run once a quarter, because when you think about it, their ankles are about this thin or this wide, and what are they, Mike? About 1,400 pounds.
Yeah.
Yep.
The torque and the pressure on those horses. That's why you see so many horses snap a leg. And I think the trainer's doing good, because you know where the real money is, Mike? The real money is in the stud. So he might, if he comes back and he does well in the Belmont, you know what? They retire him right away. Boom! All of a sudden he's helping out female horses for about 50 G's a pop. Bro.
Yeah.
Like
I know.
So the horses get banged up after these runs, I guess, right? Not injured, but they got to recover.
Beat up.
It's kind of like fighting, right? Like fighters fight 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah.
They can't fight 15 or 20 times a year. They'll be done in 2 years.
Exactly.
I would imagine with horses, even though it's a different avenue, like you said, the ankles are so small. They weigh, 10,000 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm sure they need at least, 3 or 4 months to recover. Well, that makes sense to me.
Well, the other thing is, too, that most horses are on Lasix. And I think Lasix is a diuretic.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is the trauma of racing affects their internal organs, their lungs, everything like that. So if you ever go to the track and you see in the program a horse is running on Lasix for the first time, you make sure you have some money on that horse.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like, I don't want to say it's like a shot of cocaine, like sniffing cocaine, but it's kind of like when you have Vicks Vapor Rub and you're like, whoa, that feels so great. That's how it is with the horses.
It's almost like steroids. Like if an athlete takes steroids for the first time, they get huge out of nowhere, and then they build like a tolerance to it. So I could see that. That makes sense.
I totally get all of that, and I understand you want to protect the horses, but you only get one shot at a Triple Crown with a horse like that, and to pull them out when there's not a blatant injury, to just say, oh, he's not running, is something. If he was hurt, if he had something that came up where they said, oh, his hoof or his ankle or whatever is causing him to be hurt, totally understand. Don't want to push him when it's not there. But if he has the chance to go out and make history, you got to at least put him out there. See how he runs next week. And if he's not responding the way you want him to, then you pull him. I want to see the best horses race in the Triple Crown. I want to see them have a chance to do something that's only been done a handful of times in the 150 years that they've been doing it. So that's the way I think of it. It's not just the gambling part. I love to see the spectacle, because when you get to a Belmont and there's a chance at a Triple Crown, that Belmont goes from a fun afternoon at the racetrack to like a next level sort of thing. And to not have that now, especially that it's at Saratoga this year, I think for the last year it's at Saratoga, to have a chance at a Triple Crown at Saratoga, I mean, to go up there and see that would just be awesome. So I'm upset that we're not going to see that, but I understand what you're saying about the health of the horses.
But I think also, I think the trainer said this was their plan when they started the 3-year-old campaign. They said, we will gear to the Derby, but we're not going to run in the Preakness whether we win or lose. I give him a lot of credit for sticking by his, the plan. And Mike, I get what you're saying, because I've seen a few Triple Crown winners, and it is an amazing, amazing spectacle. But it's, I don't know. Listen, I'm not, me, I'm not really a soft kind of guy all the time, but I think if the trainer has the plan, it's like you say all the time, when your team is drafting in the NFL draft, if they decide that they want the quarterback or they want the cornerback and they pick them, well, you know what? They had a plan and they stuck to it.
There's a reason why they did it.
Right. So I guarantee you that probably that owner is saying, well, you know what? That might be good because we can make a lot more money in stud fees than anything else, So, but that was exciting, and I'll be looking forward to the Preakness. Preakness is next week, not this. So it'll be like the 17th. Okay.
Correct. Yep.
All right. We'll have our Preakness picks, and we'll be ready to go. We also had we had a controversial thing going on here in New York this week. And it's funny because it involved Abdul Carter, who, like, I guess 2 weeks ago, the three of us were just gushing on what a great guy, and he gets it, and he's not entitled. And Jeff, I'm going to have you start it off.
Yep. So, look, I don't think that he's not a great guy, because I've heard his interviews. Actually, the Giants tomorrow, which I guess when this airs, it'll be maybe 2 days prior, they're coming out with some kind of a mini docuseries or something where they're showing the interviews with some of the people that they drafted, which I think is pretty cool. And I saw some clips of Abdul Carter. Very, very nice guy, very mature, but clearly entitled. If he thinks there's even a remote chance he's going to get Lawrence Taylor's number, then he's like, I can't do that. So let me jump to Phil Simms. Let me try to get his number. Maybe if he doesn't get that, he'll try to go to Eli. But come on, man. Like, look, here's the thing, right? If let's just say, for example, the Giants decide, you know what? Here's number 11. Not even going to go on 56. That's not happening.
Yeah.
Here's number 11 for you. The problem I really have with that is not even the Phil Simms factor. It's the retired number factor.
Yeah.
Right? That just completely invalidates every single number that gets retired in the future. So, let's say Dexter Lawrence has a phenomenal end to his Giant career, which I actually think he will. I think he's going to be a potential Hall of Famer. They retire his number. Now, I'm not even going to care. because that number can clearly get taken by somebody else.
Yep.
Right. So for me, again, it just goes back to how entitled these college kids are coming out, where they think they have the red carpet rolled out for them no matter what team they go to. Just in case you guys didn't know, I want to break some news to you. Abdul Carter has 0 sacks as a New York Giant, and he's going to come in here and dictate unretiring numbers. To me, I can't say it pissed me off. It was just so stupid. Like, I try not to get pissed at stupid things. And no one took this seriously except Carter.
Mm-hmm.
But what I actually think is, I think Mara should have stepped up and said something and sat him down and said, listen, man, these are legendary Giants.
Yep.
You're not coming in here taking these numbers. We wanted you. We're going to do whatever it takes to make you happy here. But to come in here and start demanding numbers that are have such relevance to the franchise.
Iconic numbers.
No can do.
Yep.
Iconic numbers. Iconic. Everybody knows these guys, even if you just dip your toe into Giant football.
Yeah.
But, listen, I hope he's going to get his own number. He's not going to take another one. And I hope 15 years down the road, it gets retired, and then another kid tries to take his number and see how he feels. But, this story is going to be washed away. It kind of is now. But, very weird story, to say the least.
What do you think, Mike?
Yeah. I mean, when you look at what happened with the Jets when Aaron Rodgers came here, and they went to Joe Namath and they asked him if he would be okay with Rodgers taking 12, and Joe Namath says, "Yeah, that's fine, whatever. It's it's been a long time since I wore that," and Rodgers went and said, "No, I'm not going to do that. That's not what I want to do. That's Joe's number with the Jets. I'm going to wear it 8 here. That's what I wore in college." I don't do that. So if Aaron Rodgers is less entitled than you are, that's a problem. So, if Aaron Rodgers has enough sense to say, I don't want to mess with this and bring this bad juju onto myself to say that, because it's a story that everyone's talking about now that's not about him playing defense with Thibodeau and creating that big offensive line. We're not talking about this nonsense. Yeah. So it really just kind of starts him off on the wrong foot. And as we talked about with Brunson, New York is very different. If something starts to gain momentum like this, everyone's going to bring in. So now they're going to talk to – I'm surprised they're not asking, like you said, asking Eli if he's okay with taking 10 as the next number here. Or Pat Summerall's number or whoever. So, but yeah, I just hope that he moves past this. It gets kind of – keep your mouth shut, show up to minicamp, play, and let's get going here.
See, because in New York, the one thing about the fans, and maybe this is what makes it difficult for some people, the fans in New York pay attention to everything, everything. So if you have a throwaway line on a podcast, or you say something off the record and it becomes on the record, the fans listen, they hear it, and they're dead serious about that stuff. And this is the kind of stuff where everybody could love a guy, and then he does something like this, and if he doesn't have the right answer after he gets his number, people are not going to forget that in New York. That's what makes New York so passionate about sports. And it's it's just dumb. I mean, it's just where are the people in his camp or his family just saying to him, no. But the problem is, like you said, Jeff, they get everything they want their whole life because they can play football, they can tackle people.
Yep.
And same thing, I just saw an interview with Brady, and Brady was talking about Shedeur Sanders, and he said, you got to understand before I tell you this, I like the kid. He goes, and I think he has talent. He said, but when I met him for the first time, he tosses me car keys, and he says, I drive around campus in my Lamborghini.
Oh, boy.
He says, and I said to him, you need to spend more time in the film room and get your ass out of the Lamborghini. He goes, and that's the kind of stuff that caused him to slip to the 5th round. And honestly, the only reason he got drafted by the Browns, Jimmy Haslam made that pick.
Yep.
And that's, you pick you pick Dylan Gabriel, and then the next round you take Shedeur Sanders.
Yep.
I mean, that's just, and you saw, like,
Yeah.
Mike, you pointed it out last week. The coach and the GM, their faces were just like, ugh, you know?
Almost like they had to do it because of the timing and.
Well, Jimmy Haslam,
Yeah.
he might be more clueless than Woody Johnson, and that's saying something.
Yeah.
Because Woody is clueless as hell.
Yeah,
But
they're up there, no question. But
oh
the
my
Abdul
God.
Carter thing, the good news with that, the Carter thing, that's going to be forgotten
Yeah.
by the time the season starts. As long as this isn't like a lingering thing, which I don't think it can be, and I hope it isn't. But to me too, we'll end it on this. Like, doesn't Abdul Carter want his own legacy?
Right.
Doesn't he want his number retired? And I guess from a Giant fan perspective, I guess it would be nostalgic to see like number 56 on the field. Like, I understand that side too. I wouldn't want to see it, but I can understand some Giant fans being like, yeah, I kind of want to see that number, bring us some luck or whatever. But like, if I'm Abdul Carter, I'm like, no, that's the guy I want to be. That's my role model from a Giants perspective. But I'm going to have my own number, and you're going to see that right next to Eli's number and Phil Simms' number, my own, up there. Very strange way he's going about it, but again, it's a very strange story, so it's adding up.
Two things I don't want to see. I don't want to see another player wearing 56 for the Giants on that field. And I don't want to see a fan in the stands wearing the 56 jersey with the name Poplawski on the back. Because then I'm going to have to crack him over the back of the head, because that's just ridiculous. That's just awful.
No,
That's
unless you're 8 years old and your last name is Poplawski, then if you're 40, then you can't be doing that.
Well, you bring up a good point, because that was one of our pet peeves. Was the jersey with the name on. I think one of us had the jersey with the name on the back.
Yeah,
I want to revisit one from the last episode, Ted, that you brought up about the pillows on your bed, because it kind of struck a chord with me and some of my friends. We were talking about this, and none of us make our beds to the point where we don't even know where those pillows are. I think I have 9 or 10 pillows, but they're buried underneath a pile of laundry and whatever else on the thing there. I'm curious, Jeff. Are you with me? Are you someone who really doesn't make their bed very often?
So I'm definitely in the minority here in our generation, Mike. I actually not only make my bed in the morning, I got to tell you this is going to shock you guys. I make my bed in hotel rooms.
What?
I'll tell you why. Because when I wake up, I'm like, I need to do something just to say, okay, I'm going to get my day started. And for some reason, I've been doing this for years.
Suitcases away. How about that?
You read my mind, Uncle Ted. Uncle Ted, you've been to my place, right? It's neat, right? I have a neat place, but I have random stuff, like a suitcase that's still in the corner of my room that was from 2 years ago from a Jersey trip I took to see the family. But I'm making my bed in the morning. I have a book bag that's been in like by my laundry area. God knows what's in that. Who knows? But it's been there since I moved in pretty much. But when it comes to making beds, I don't know. I always did it when I was young, and I do it wherever I go. It's just, I guess, a habit in the morning. So I'm definitely in the minority though, Mike. I know that most of us in terms of our generation do not do it. Now, to be fair, I only have 2 pillows. So it's a little easier to make my bed, but I make it every morning.
First of all, you 2 tool bags, I'm going to say this. Don't make it sound like I went to Bed Bath & Beyond and bought 15 pillows.
No, I know that.
Peachy bought those pillows. I don't ever make the bed, okay? The only time I even just pull the blanket over it is if, let's say, my wife is gone to Atlantic City with the girls or something like that. And when I know she's coming home, I'll just throw the blanket over so it doesn't look like a total animal was just, laying in the bed. But that's like, I told you guys this story. I've never done a load of wash in a washing machine. And I'm in my 60s. And the one time I did it, Peachy had pneumonia and she's in the hospital. She's sick. And I said, I'm going to do her a favor. I know she's got so much to do when she comes home, making me a sandwich and stuff like that. I'm going to do the laundry for her. And I called my mother to walk me through it. She walks me through it. And then I went to check on the laundry, and I lifted the lid, and I look, and it stopped spinning. And now I could not figure how to get it on again. So I call my mother. She's going through stuff, and then she sends your father will be right over. 5 minutes later, he comes over. He walks over. He pulls the lid down, and the thing started. I said, "That's how you do it?" And he just gave me a look like he was so ashamed, and he just walked out. I mean, so I don't. I'm a typical Italian kid. Like, my mother used to put my underwear on the radiator in the morning when I was a kid, so that I didn't have to put cold underwear on. That's how spoiled I was as a kid.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff and I are both strong, independent men. We can do our own laundry. We can make our beds if we need to. I will say, when I'm in a hotel, if I have two beds, I am messing up both of them. I'm not making either of the two beds. I'm having one bed that I'm going to eat snacks and watch TV in, and then the other bed is what I'm going to sleep in. And both beds are just a complete disaster by the time I'm done here. So,
Mike, you don't have to sell us, brother. I'm the weird one here. What you do is normal. What I do, I should not be doing. But it's just a habit that you can't shake, I guess.
In a way, every one of us are weird, because
that's true.
From doing stand-up comedy, I used to open up for Otto and George a lot. And Otto and George, if you've never seen him, he's the funniest guy ever. Filthy. And I am not. And I would open for him, and his crowds loved me. And I had a woman come up to me at a fundraiser, and she says, "Oh, I saw you on the Otto and George show." And she named like 3 of them. And she goes, "And you're so funny." She goes, "You know what I like about you? A lot of comedians and entertainers are messed up in the head." She goes, "And you are, but you don't come off that way. But I know you are." And I said, "Wow, how'd she pick that out?" But that's
the good news is, Uncle Ted, you mentioned the suitcase. So we're going on a cruise.
Yes,
for the listeners in a couple weeks. So we'll probably take that week off, I guess. But I'm packed.
Are you? Oh, from that suitcase.
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to double check to make sure everything I brought. Maybe put some more stuff because it's 7 days or a little longer, actually.
Yeah.
And
make sure
I'm good to go,
there.
man.
Yeah.
I'll make sure it smells fine. I'm sure it's okay. The laundry's good to go. If not, I'll pop it in the laundry. I may need your help, Uncle Ted. And I'm good to go, brother.
Wait.
So you can laugh at me all you want about the suitcase. I got all my stuff ready to rock and roll.
Aunt Peachy has a suitcase in our bedroom, and every day she puts a little something in it. And she says to me, like a month ago, "You should get your suitcase out and every day put a little something in it." I said, "We're leaving on Sunday the 25th. On Saturday night, I'm just opening the drawer. I'm reaching for. I need 7 pair of underwear.
That's exactly how I do it.
Shorts, shirt." Oh, she goes, "Don't you want to look nice?" I said, "I'll look fine. Believe me." Nice and me are not, they don't go in the same sentence.
And being proactive is not something I am a procrastinator for everything. So if I could do it at 7 a.m. the day of,
I've done it.
I just want to make sure everything is there and packed in there. I will do it at the last possible minute. My wife hates it, but I've survived almost 40 years at this point doing it. So,
Mike, how's your studying for the 9 and 10 going?
It's getting there. We're getting there. We're doing a little bit.
Did you take the plastic off the books?
The plastic is off the books.
Oh, nice.
I've actually started working on the first chapter of, which is the options part of the 9. So
getting the worst. So last week Jeff did not have picks for the UFC because it was just, it was a bad card. As Jeff said, nothing jumped out at him. But for this week, I know Jeff does have some picks. Before we get to the picks, I want to just mention that Jeff's picks and Mikey Mush's picks are sponsored by The Comedy Shop. And you can see the schedule for The Comedy Shop by going to jjcomedy.com. James has shows all in the Myrtle Beach area and that eastern South Carolina area. He's got shows in Pennsylvania. And the best part about it is he also runs fundraisers. So if your organization, your school, anything, even for birthday parties and things like that, go to jjcomedy.com, talk to James, see how easy it is to put together. And it's a fun way to make money. You don't want to be standing in front of a shop right in the pouring rain, shaking a can when everybody could be having fun. You don't have to have the kids with you, and you raise a lot of money. But So our picks are sponsored by JJ Comedy. Jeff, I know you got picks this week. Let me hear who you got.
All right, so we're going to do something a little bit different this week. So usually when I do my three-legged parlays, I look for the favorites that I like. But I actually have two underdogs out of the three legs that I think have a very good chance to win. We're going to start with Alexa Grasso beating Natalia Silva. Alexa Grasso is plus 185, so that's very good value for her. I mean, she's a former champion, lost a tough fight in her title loss. But I just think when you're a champion, you're young, you have that experience. The fact that she's almost plus 200 is wild. So I love Alexa Grasso in that fight. Second leg, we're going to do Valentina Shevchenko over Manon Fiorot. She's plus 130. Valentina's the champion right now. That's a championship fight. And in the UFC, I always go champion because if it goes to decision with the judges tend to favor the champion if it's a close fight. It's kind of like LeBron getting all the calls or, like Mahomes getting every call, even if he trips. So I'm going to go, and I think Valentina's going to win. And then last one, we're going to do a pretty heavy favorite, Bilal Muhammad, who's minus 230 over Jack Della Maddalena, JDM he goes by. He's minus 230, but I didn't do the math for you guys, so you guys can go to whatever site you use and do it yourself. But you got a plus 185, a plus 130, and a minus 230. It's going to be a good number. So
plus 860.
Wow,
Jeff,
that's what plus 860.
Plus 860.
Yeah. Wow,
I would jump, Mike. I would jump on that.
I'm jumping on it. I'm jumping on it. I'm going to put like $1. Mike, how much would $1 get me?
$86, I think.
No, Mike.
Oh, $9.
$9.
So, yeah. $9. Yeah.
It's, by the way, it's late, guys. It's like 10 o'clock p.m. over here.
Late.
So I'm feeling a little out of it.
Mike, you did make picks last week. Why don't you give us a review of them and then give us your picks for this week?
Yes, absolutely. So, if you recall last week, we went over to Bulgaria because I was watching Amazing Race and they were in Bulgaria. It looked like a fun place. I went for some soccer games there in Bulgaria. We went one win and one tie. So, not the worst, not the best. But, we're 3-0-1 in our last four. So we are on the come up here. So we had Botev Plovdiv beat Spartak 3-2. And then we had a tie between Cherno, Morvarna, and Arda Kardazali. Was a 1-1 draw. So made some money there. So for this week, we're going to do a flashback to about 5 years ago, right about this time of year. There's no sports going on. We're all stuck in our houses, wiping groceries with wipes and whatever else crazy things we were doing back then. But what was Mike doing? Mike was up at 2:00 in the morning watching Korean baseball because that was the only sport that was actually going because for some reason they decided they were going to still play in Korea. And so in honor of that, I'm going to go with a twofer for the people in the Korean baseball organization. I think it is KBO, whatever they call it. So my two picks this week, the LG Twins are minus 130 against the Samsung Lions. That game is Saturday morning at 1 a.m. on the 10th. Strictly picking them because I like LG's appliances better than Samsung's. So I will absolutely take those over there. I think they're my Samsung washing machine, the song is annoying me at this point. So that's why I'm picking LG for winning there. And then the team that I fell in love with 5 years ago, the NC Dinos, plus 112 against the Doosan Bears. That game is at 4 a.m. on Saturday morning. So you're getting yourself ready for Mother's Day this weekend. If you can't sleep Friday night going into Saturday morning, throw on some Korean baseball. You got the LG Twins, NC Dinos. And then I do have a bonus pick because we did end up going last weekend to the AHL playoff game. So we're rallying the Valley here. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Nice.
But we're taking the Lehigh Valley Phantoms to close out the Hershey Bears on Friday night. I don't care what the number is. Pick them to win outright. They're up 2-1 in a best-of-5 series. They can close it out at home. The barn there, the PPL Center in Allentown is going to be electric. So definitely, if you can, ride them and get them to the Calder Cup quarterfinals. So those are my 3 picks. Twins, Dinos, Phantoms, and let's have ourselves a good Mother's Day weekend. Shout out to all the moms out there.
Yep. Yes.
Happy Mother's Day to all the moms in everyone's lives here.
Exactly. Shout out to the moms and the mothers.
Yes.
The last thing I'm going to say before we sign off, Mike, you're going to love this. Bing bong.
Yes.
Everybody have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Thanks for having us. Good night.